So,
Frozen. What's that about? Let's see. Let's see.
To comment during the Frankly Speaking show, you
let's see
first
if
need
he's
to
nice.
open the video that is being streamed live. Look for the chat box on the side or bottom of the video player. This is where you can type your message. Click inside the chat box and
Can
use
you
your
hear me,
keyboard
Franklin?
to type out what you want to say. You can type words, use emojis,
Yes.
or even ask questions. Once you've typed your message,
Program
press
has
the enter
started.
key on your keyboard or click the send button.
good day. Today is actually Farmers' Day, you know. This is episode 186 of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica Podcast. Frankly speaking, we're going to start taking a look at the limping agriculture sector from the point of view of specific crops. Frankly speaking, today, something hard to find in the supermarkets or markets: oranges, grapefruit, lime, citrus fruits we call them. We're going to talk about that. And cocoa, that once vibrant part of the agriculture scene. We're focusing on those today. Then, in the second part of the program, frankly speaking, we are returning to OBEAH, or maybe we should be calling it spiritualism or the spirit world. Thank you for joining us again, and we encourage you to subscribe if you have not yet done so. It's easy. Just click that button. Please share the podcast with your friends and colleagues. Remember, a recording of this program will be available on the Frankly Speaking Jamaica YouTube channel for watching at your convenience. I'm Franklin McKnight. With me today are our regular panelists, Winnie Anderson Brown and Desmond Richards. Remember, we welcome your comments and questions during the show. Just use the procedure outlined earlier or go to the comment section on the Frankly Speaking Jamaica YouTube channel. Our guests for this first segment of the program are people who know the agricultural sector well. We have joining us Director of the Citrus Growers Association, John Thompson. We should also have with us Agriculturalist Hugh Johnson and Leonard Fulton. Now, some of them have been having internet issues. So let's see whether we have Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson, can we start with you? Are you hearing me?
Clear, Franklin.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, we want to start with you. Where have all the citrus gone?
Yes. Well, I would like to thank you for inviting me onto your show, and I wish a good ear listeners throughout Jamaica and elsewhere. To answer
Go ahead,
you,
Mr. Thompson. Go ahead. Just speak. Go ahead and speak.
yes. What I'm saying is
ahead.
that we are a long way away from where we were, say, 10, 20 years ago, because a lot of things has come and set back the citrus industry, notably the diseases of tristitia and greening, and also that we were not proactive enough in financing for replanting and research, because it is now an uphill task, but it is not impossible, because as you can see, citrus all over the world is in decline, and the price of fresh fruit and concentrate and juice is escalating. But we have good soil here, and I think we have the know-how. It is just to get the right varieties that can be resistant to the disease, and also um, to energize younger people to come into the industry and to plant and to let them have available lands and financing.
Mr. Thompson, you sound like we would start from scratch, man, because everything there it seems an issue. You sound like we're supposed to be starting from scratch. Are we making progress? Are we on the rebound? Or are we still going down?
I would say that we are at the bottom now, and I think that, in my opinion, with enough concentration of capital and the availability of having proper instructors that are versatile in citriculture to guide the farmers for the replanting program. But I think that, judging from the interest for and the demand for planting material from the citrus growers, we are quite expanding at the moment, but not sufficiently in seedlings, which currently we have to grow under the new regulations on the screenhouse, so that they are protected from the psyllids.
Mr. Thompson, so you're saying that we're going to continue to pay $2,000 a dozen, $1,500 a dozen for oranges, half fluxy oranges, $1,500, $2,000, which are the prices in the supermarkets and the markets now?
Well, it is like when the watchman fall asleep, things go awry. And it's past governments that have not taken the emergency steps that were needed, because agriculture is something that, as you know, sir, you can't wait, you can't put it on a back burner. You have to, it's time sensitive, and if you don't do things in time and in tandem with the weather, with nature, and of course with the economy, you are going to pay for it, and that is what we are paying for now.
So you're saying that right now there's no really positive on citrus that is going to suggest that limes, which are going for, I mean, the prices of lime are ridiculous.
Horrendous.
You are saying that we are going to possibly just have to stay there and maybe import more, because I gather we are importing now.
Well, I don't know how we are importing, because under the psychosanitary regulations, we should not be importing, because you could be importing disease, which would further add to. There are certain diseases that we are free of for citrus, like canker, which is plaguing parts of Florida and places like that. And you could bring in that by importing fruit. So that is a dilemma that we face.
And you are saying citrus production is down all over the region. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, all over the world, even in Brazil and in Belize, which is a CARICOM country, and which we used to get, they used to supply us not with fresh fruit, but with a lot of concentrate to make up the shortfall that we had here.
But I'm told that in Trinidad the industry is booming. Is that correct?
I don't know of that, because what I know that in Trinidad, the factory that they had there for processing citrus was sold out by the citrus growers in Trinidad. So I don't know. I'm not so informed of what is taking place there presently.
Mr. Thompson,
yes, sir.
I know that my personal knowledge know that there were large citrus plantations in Clarendon and in St. Catherine. Now, what has happened to those?
Well, a lot of the citrus, Clarendon has been hit heavily by the disease. And also, you had a large plantation there where at Penance, where that was cut up into land, not land lease, in settlement, and a lot of the trees were not were not maintained, and that used to produce a lot of citrus for the Clarendon factory, because you had a Maypen citrus factory there, which were owned by the shops, and
Yes.
the citrus growers bought that factory, but they couldn't get enough citrus in the area to suffice it. So the property was sold and the equipment was moved to Bogwalk, where we had another factory there. But a lot of the production of concentrate, which is really the excess of the fresh fruit market. So you have the fresh fruit market, and then the farmers, if they couldn't sell that for table fruit, what was left back, or the excess, would go to the factory where it would be produced into concentrate. And then now that would make the juiciful orange juice and all of that throughout the year, and supply the supermarkets and the hotels and things like that. So it is a decline in the production that caused the factories, the economies of scale, for them to be uneconomical, because even with the McConnells at Bogwalk, most of their juice now is imported concentrate, and they have a large scale of citrus, which a lot of that is in decline, and they have even taken out, my understanding, some of the citrus, and they are putting in pineapples and cane. But
Mr. Thompson, put your love for the industry aside for a second. Does it make sense that Jamaica tries to focus on citrus as a crop commercially in any serious way? Does it make sense?
Yes, I think it does, because
Mr. Hugh Johnson in a second.
And the reason why I say that is that citrus is a crop that you can get 2 crops from it for the year, So you can get, if you plant it right and the right varieties, you can get 2 crops of citrus for the year. So you can get citrus, basically summer fruit and winter fruit. And the thing is with that is that sugar is dead for the moment, and we have a lot of lands which are fertile, well watered, and conducive for planting of large orchards of whether mango, citrus, whatever. And I think that citrus lends itself well for intercropping, because I have seen.
Mr. Thompson, we're going to move on to. I just want to bring in Mr. Hugh Johnson, who is also an agriculturalist. Mr. Johnson, we want to look at another crop that you know well, and that is cocoa. I think you are vice president of the World Cocoa Farmers Organization. Is that correct? So Johnson, you hearing me?
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you clearly, sir. Man, are you hearing?
Okay, let me just try that one more time. Yes, I'm hearing you, and I want you to just tell us. You are vice president of the World Cocoa Farmers Organization. I'd love you to tell us what's happening to cocoa in Jamaica, or what has happened to it. Sir Johnson.
Just like many other commodity crops. Just like other commodity crops. Are you hearing me?
Yes, go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes,
You
I,
go
Hello?
ahead.
I hear you. Go ahead, you.
Okay. I just like other commodity crops, they are all in decline. Cocoa, Jamaican cocoa, which is revered around the world, even greater than Blue Mountain coffee, is being marginalized and dying. Um, John spoke of R&D. There is no R&D happening probably for the past 15, 20 years in Jamaica as it relates to cocoa. Um, 10 years ago, or even less than that, 5 years ago, New York Stock Exchange price for cocoa was overing about $2,000. Today, it's overing north of $12,000 per ton. Um, we are fortunate to be one of 7 countries that produce fine and flavored cocoa. And I have said it before and I'll repeat it that we boast about earning 4 billion annually US dollars from the tourism industry. But cocoa alone can surpass that if we focus on the right things. And
But
not for the
Mr.
life of
Johnson,
me.
tell us why do you think with the potential there and so forth that we have gone so bad in it because our production has gone down to the worst stage it has been for years. Why is that?
Ignorance, arrogance, and the lack of will. Um, as we know that it has been struggling for decades, and a few years ago we encountered a new disease to Jamaica, which is falciparum rot, and the government then put in place a committee to look at the disease and to try and correct the ills in it. After spending 2 billion taxpayers' dollars
Am I the
on
only
that
one not
program,
hearing?
we are worse off than if we had left the disease to run its course. In countries that the disease have ravaged, the worst we have seen is a 70% reduction in production. After we spend $2 billion in Jamaica, we are down to 95% reduction. So I have no other conclusion than that the committee that was formed to help the industry is worse than the disease itself. And we have many countries, even our neighbor to the east, which is Dominican Republic. When we were doing 3,000 tons of cocoa, 3,500 tons annually, Dominican Republic was doing probably 500,000-600,000. Now we are down to like 50,000. Damrep is above 65,000. And
We are down to
some
50,000 from what? What were we are down to 50,000 from what?
in the 80s, our peak performance, we had gone north of 3,000 tons. But recently, after the Frostipod Committee devastation of the industry, we had gone down to between 30 to 50 tons annually. It's picking up back now. But I must say that we haven't done any major replanting for the last 50 years. The trees that are producing now are older than I am. And for those and other reasons like lack of research and development and the requisite injection of capital within the industry. That is where we are. And we're calling on the government to do something drastic about it, because we can't be importing everything we need and have black gold on our trees that we can reap tremendously from, and not doing
And
that.
when you talk to people in government, what is their response? When you talk to people in RADA, when you talk to people in the Ministry of Agriculture, what is the
They are fiddling their thumb.
Mr. Johnson?
No concrete. Yes, those persons who are put in charge to help to boost production, they are only fiddling their thumbs and talking without action.
Well, one of the things,
bad, Mr. Johnson.
Franklin, one of the things that
Yes, go
need to
ahead.
be, one of the things that we need to look at is that the Jamaica's agricultural sector is in decline. We are spending over $1 billion US annually to import food. And some of the food that we are importing is food that we can produce. But enough is not being done to focus on agricultural production. One of the issues that we have now is that agricultural lands are being taken out of agriculture for housing. Then the farmers, when you talk to them, the farmers are having serious issues with marketing, with lack of assistance. And therefore, the agricultural sector is something that needs some serious attention. But I am afraid that we might not get the attention that is required, because like the rest of the Caribbean, what we find is that some policymakers and their friends are the importers of food, and therefore it is going to be difficult for them to give up that lucrative market.
It seems as if Franklin dropped off. Can you hear me? Can everyone?
Yes, Winnie,
He's back.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
He's
I
back.
seem to have had some problems at this end. You go ahead, Winnie.
Yes. No, I didn't hear you. So I was just okay, let me read this comment that is here. The Jamaican cocoa industry is dying because the government has failed to protect and invest in local farmers. There's little to no subsidy, poor market access, outdated equipment, and no real receipt. No real replant.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yes.
says that's the comment that's there. Yes.
I should also like to add to that the government is regulating the industry to death. We have a regulatory authority by the name of JACRA that is not business friendly. I saw just over a week ago where they had a celebration of a cocoa coffee day. I must commend them for that. That is the way to go. And I would suggest for them to even take it further in schools. Those programs are well needed and necessary. But that is just a jot in the bucket as it relates to the cadre or the number of things. You can't regulate
Mr. Johnson.
yourself to death. Hello?
Mr. Johnson, I just want to say that we did make contact with Jackra, but they were unable to come on the program today. But just answer me this question, Mr. Johnson, as I leave and hand over the program to Winnie as I leave now. Just answer me this question, Mr. Johnson. What do you think is the primary issue, the number one issue that is holding back cocoa, and is that similar to what is holding back the other crops, sectors from growing? Because none of them is really doing fantastic work. Can you answer that question for me, Mr. Johnson?
One that comes to mind is the regulatory authority. The regulatory authority, the players that are there have been given basket to carry water. The whole regulation is flawed, unworkable. Secondly, from the governmental perspective, PR can't run agriculture. We need practical boot on the ground to do effective implementation. Saying that you spending 100 billion on Borders Research Station and I can't get a good cocoa plant out of Border is waste of time. So we need to revamp, or in other words, we need to wheel and come again by cutting out the PR and do practical, tangible, measurable deliverables that farmers can earn from their effort and the economy can grow from it. That would be my suggestion at this time.
Great.
Also,
Mr. Thompson, as we
Yes.
wrap up, and
Yes.
Winnie, I'll hand it over to you now. Mr. Thompson, can you say what you see as the primary issue? You were once president of the citrus growers. Can you tell us what you see as the primary issue holding back agriculture now?
well, I
Because it
can
is the
speak
one.
for the citrus industry specifically and generally for agriculture. I think we need to start at the top. And when we look at the development bank, agriculture need to be properly represented there, and the farmers' interests, and that people who know about what agriculture needs and how it can work, because you don't want them to set programs which are not workable financially and otherwise. You have to have an input, a strong input from the agricultural sector from the top there. At the other end, you need the boots on the ground.
And from the top, you mean minister? From the top, you mean from minister?
No, I'm talking about the government when they set up a board and they set up the boards. They need to have that the objectives can be fulfilled, and it is not, the money does not go to the people who are importing goods from China and distributing them. The distributors and the big people who set the tone of the economy, because the farmers are at the bottom of the triangle, and they need representation at the top. When you look at the primary market in Jamaica, which is Carnation Market, is small farmers feeding the capital. The food is coming from all over Jamaica. So it is small farmers we need to. The citrus growers was a small farmers association, and it was a great one. It is now into some decline, but it is recovering. And that is what we need, recovery. We need more of these organizations, agricultural organizations and cooperatives. We have to redefine the whole thing and start numbers. That is how we can grow the thing.
Well, Mr. Thompson, Desmond, I'm going to call on you to speak about representation, which you have been picking up on your show, but I'm going to ask our viewers to excuse me as Winnie is going to take over and go forward from here.
Very
Winnie,
well. Thank you.
Okay,
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 I
Winnie,
hope you
Frank.
all can.
Winnie, you hearing
I
me?
hope you all can hear me. I am
Good.
hearing
Yes,
you. Can you hear me?
yes,
Beautiful.
I hope
Yes,
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 we are
everyone can
hearing.
hear me. Yes.
yes.
So
Yes,
here
we are
I
hearing.
am going
We
to.
are hearing.
Okay,
Yeah, hold on,
I'm going to
Winnie.
go ahead,
One of the
Desmond.
things that
Go.
one of the things that I want to say on this program that the issues facing Jamaican farmers are the similar issues facing the entire Caribbean. Lack of representation, um, all the issues that we have in Jamaica, Caribbean farmers, and we at Rebel Radio, what we have done, we have established links with farmers all across the Caribbean. And we are now in the process of setting up an organization to represent the farmers of the Caribbean. We want, for example, the farmers of Caribbean, they must have a seat at CARICOM where the policymakers meet. The farmers must have a seat there to present their case. We want the organizations in Jamaica representing farmers to step up. So, for example, the JAS is supposed to be the organization representing the farmers, and I don't see them doing that. As Mr.
Thank you,
Thompson point,
Desmond. Thank
okay,
Thank you. As we wrap up, there was a comment that I don't think we should wrap up without reading. Please put it back for me again, Joshua. Thank you. And this is Sherton Da Costa. I hope I said your name right. Rather needs to concentrate more on small cocoa farmers, followed by the old system of community collection. Thank you for that, Sherton. And as we say thanks to our guests in this segment, it is time for us to move to the other segment. And we thank you very much for this segment. So we will wrap up this segment. Any final words from you two gentlemen? 1 minute each, please. Who will
Well,
go
I,
first?
I wish you
may I say,
all the best. I wish you all the best
may,
Yes,
and continued success. Thank you.
thank
may,
you
may,
so
I- may, I,
much. John?
Yes.
may I say then that in spite of all the difficulties, there is still hope because
Yes.
farmers are on their own putting in new trees and hoping to move to value add within the industry and not just to be primary producer of the cocoa bean. But we are asking for governmental intervention, governmental support, be a facilitator, not an hindrance to the forward movement of the industry. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is a topic that I'm sure we will come back to because food is very important to us. Thank you, gentlemen. And now it's time for our second segment. Yes. OBEAH and spirituality. Yes. How we couch that. Do we have our guests? We have we should have Amy Zion, a pastor from Amy Zion Church, Pastor Norval Gayle. And we also have Colonel Wallace Sterling of the Moortown Maroons. Do we have you both, gentlemen? Welcome. And we will begin with Colonel Wallace Sterling. The question is, what is OBEAH? Can you tell us what that is and how we can differentiate it from other practices?
Well,
Thank you, Colonel.
let me
Yes.
first of all say good afternoon and good evening to your guests and the persons who are listening on this broadcast. I mean,
Good afternoon.
are you all hearing me clearly?
Yes, I am hearing you.
Good, good.
Yes.
All right. So here's the situation, right? you asked the question, what is obeah, right?
Yes.
So let us look at it from this angle.
Yes.
In every society, at every point in time, people have their customs and their practices that they do. I mean, for our foreparents coming out of Africa, there was no word as obeah, it was ob, right? And while it get corrupted along the way, so they used to.
You're breaking up.
I am breaking up.
I
I
am
wasn't hearing
hearing
you
him, man. Let him
clearly.
continue.
Okay,
Let
so
him continue.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes,
So,
I was saying for our foreparents coming out of Africa, there was no word as obeah. It was actually hobe, right? But anyway, things get corrupted. It is what they believe in, is what they practice. And this thing was used for protecting the community from outside forces, from persons who would want to dominate them. And they find a good way in this medium. It was not something that they basically say, I am going to be worshiping, I have a particular God or some deity or something like that we're going to worship. It wasn't like that. Each individual practitioner would have had their medium through which they operate. And generally, is generally the spirit of the ancestors that they use anyway. So when they come to this part of the world, you got to bear in mind, that our foreparents never took anything with them when they come to this part of the world, those that came from Africa. Only the knowledge that they had in their head, they took with them. So coming to this part of the world, they still maintain that knowledge and they continue to use it to their advantage. So it is only when, this thing that they were doing, the colonial powers that they decided that, this was too powerful for us to combat. So we're going to ban it. It was never anything that was intended in the first place to cause evil amongst the people in the community. It was used against outsider. So this was something that our foreparents practiced then, still practice now, and will forever be practiced by others. That's basically what it is.
thank you so much. We'll come right back to you. Let's go to Pastor Gayle, and I'll ask you the same question. What is obeah? How do you define that?
Good afternoon to the panelists, and good afternoon to you all, our viewers. Obeah is in my own interpretation is quite different from the lens of how you view it. So there is always good and bad that operates within the atmosphere. Where I am coming from is that obeah is a practice of evil, a dark magic or witchcraft or a cultic movement that is evilous in its nature, in the sense that it intends to harm others and bring harm to others, and that's where we're coming from with it.
Okay, so do you separate obeah?
So obeah is evil.
Go ahead.
Pastor, obeah is, from your perspective, obeah is evilous.
It is in terms of our own experience and understanding of it. It is something that is evilous and demonic, as we would say, within the religious community. So once it is not glorifying God, and it is a matter of fact, let's go to the natural status of man. If it brings evil to the other person, then that's where we have a problem. If it brings harm,
do you realize that the religion that you are practicing now was imposed on you?
So I would not say impose on me because there was no introduction earlier as it relates to my religion, but I'm from the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, and we are coming from the United States. We came out of the United States. We are a deep-hearted Methodist church, but there is our forefathers, when they were constructing the church, had leave a avenue in the book of discipline that allows for acceptance of cultural exhibition, whether it is through music or dance or
Pastor, the religion that you are practicing now, did it come with your ancestors who came from Africa as slaves?
So the church was started by slaves in the US. They were practical persons who were seeking to worship God. It started with them trying to have a relationship with God, but were not allowed to have such freedom because they could not have black bishops, they could not have elected pastors who were dark colored, and because of that, the James Varick and others stepped out of the Episcopal Church then and formed the AME Zion, and that's how our church came out of the US.
Yes.
That is a very interesting point, if I may, Desmond, because the AME Zion Church is associated with OBEAH by those persons who don't understand it, and again, it is looked down on by people of other churches higher up on the continuum. So when that is explained, you can see why. We want to bring back Colonel Wallace Sterling in this. And
okay.
the question I want to, yes, go ahead.
Before you say that, I mean, the pastor said something that if you practice something that brings evil to others, right, then it's demonic.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, goodly pastor, countries in this world that possesses nuclear weapon and another amount of ammunitions and things, that ballistic missile and so, that is bringing harm to people. How do you condemn? Do you condemn them?
It's the same. So to answer to that, it's the same way that you have the United Nations, you have the World Health Organization, and other organization that stands as a bar to not allow persons to have their own way. Is it working perfectly? No.
Right.
Certainly not. But no, they are here. They are here to prevent these persons from using these nuclear weapons and just use it loosely.
Yeah.
Should there be tighter regulation, we would have said so, and we would have you would have seen in our attempt to condemn what is happening right across the globe, what is happening down in between Russia and Ukraine in my time, and you have down in Palestine and Israel. So those are, and even in our own backyard here in Jamaica and between the US and other larger states. So it is there to sort of govern and to bring governance to it. But let me clarify again, it is the interpretation that we have. OBEAH, if it brings evil to the other person, if it is intended to harm the person. So, for example, am I harming Miss Anderson? Why am I harming Miss Anderson? And what am I using in respect to harm her? That is really where the root of the OBEAH argument is really.
Yeah, but I would want to say this, right? let me first say something. I consider myself a practicing Christian, right? That's what I consider myself. And in Jamaica, the
Yes.
Rastafarian have their things, and they said that is their religion.
Did we lose you, or
Practice
am
it.
I the one out? Yes.
Pardon me. If people decide that this is my religion, this is what I want to do, why is it banned? Because if somebody is gonna come and attack me in my home, any means of defense that I can use to defend myself, my home, my property, my family, as far as I'm concerned, that's a fair play for me. So
Colonel, let us
But
dive into the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter, Colonel, is not defense. The heart of the matter is intentional harm. When the intentional
offense.
harm line is drawn, then that's a difference. So let's get level now, Colonel. Miss Anderson, I want to bring a point across because I want to talk about revivalism and where it is coming from. Revivalism is practiced in Jamaica, here in Jamaica, from the colonial, not from the colonial, from our Maroons and ancestral persons. So let's identify the elements of it. The elements of it was the drum, the sound, the music.
One moment, please. One moment, please. Sorry to interrupt you. It is raining very heavily. So if I go, Desmond, please take over. I can hardly hear. It's raining heavily. Continue.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
so the OBEAH then, not the OBEAH, I don't want to go to the OBEAH, I want to stick with the revival religion. Miss Anderson pointed it out earlier that it is trampled on. Yes, because a lot of persons who on the religious scene and want to preach the gospel, they did not come with any gospel. They did not bring any gospel to the table. What they bring was a trampolizing weapon to stample another religion, well, to trample another religion only to make theirs look good, which is another evil. It is another form of evil, but it is not spoken about. It is as dangerous as the OBEAH, but then have never been spoken about. So let's take a look again why we are where we are. Why we are where we are, many of our forefathers could not go to the regular Baptist and the Methodist and the Presbyterian and other churches. 1, because they were poor. 2, they were slaves. 3, many persons did not want to associate with them. So what did they do? They created their own language, their own way of communicating, their own way of worshiping. So when you look at the American, which is our brothers and sisters, today, there are many persons who do not accept what they call it spiritual songs, in the US, because the spiritual songs is coming from somewhere, and because it is considered as black spiritual, so the very title of it is demeaning, and that is where we are in terms of when you talk about the religious scope, Miss Anderson, in terms of the revival church versus OBEAH versus Pocomania. So that's
Well,
really where we are.
there's a question from one of our viewers, and the question is, please put it back for me if you can hear me, Joshua. Is OBEAH a religion? That's Jeffrey Worrell is asking that. Is OBEAH a religion? Both of you can take it.
Well, first of all, let me say, I can't say definitively that it is a religion or it's not a religion. It depends on the practitioner, what the person sees it at, and how the persons want to practice it. But,
Yes.
But I must say to Pastor that I live in Moortown. I was raised in an AME Zion church. My mother and father were members of the AME Zion church. My mother was a secretary for as long as I could have remembered until she retired. My father was one of the late preacher in those church. In Moortown today, there are two AME Zion churches registered. Two AME Zion churches. One that what they used to attend first, and then the other one. And there are two more churches in Moortown, which is pretty much akin to AME Zion Church, as far as I am concerned. The Fire Baptist, and then the other one, some sort of Governor Truth or something like that. But if the people, in my view and my opinion, if I am free to practice Christianity because I believe in what Christianity says, and the other person believe in what his thing is saying to him, that is that person's prerogative to do it. I am not going to be quarreling with the person. I'm not going to be saying to you, is it a religion or is it not a religion? That is not my place to determine that. If the persons make those determinations, then that is their prerogative. And just like what the Constitution says, if the Constitution says freedom of religion, then it should not be free for the AME Zion Church, for the Anglican, the Baptist, and the Catholic, and the Seventh-day Adventist, and not be free for the others. Yet their customs and practice should not be banned. Whether they are in line with the Almighty, yes or no, that's another question for and that's the Almighty to deal with that, not for us to deal with it.
Well, over to you, Pastor Gayle. Is OBEAH a religion? What's your take?
I wouldn't say it is a religion, but it ends up in some religious practices. And the danger with OBEAH and religion is that
am I the only one not hearing?
I'm not hearing the pastor.
We lost you, Pastor. Yes, we're not hearing. Okay, until he comes back, I have a question for you, Colonel. Is OBEAH and necromancy the same thing? Or is necromancy a part of OBEAH?
Both of them can be described as the same thing in more ways than one, too. But, different persons call probably the same thing by different name. In terms of the practices that the things that they do, the rituals and so forth, they might be similar. They might not be exact, but there are similarity. And for location, cultural things, the same thing is called, by different name. Because, as I said before, that when you look at the AME Zion Church, which I can speak to with a lot of certainty, because, as I said, I grew up in that church. My mother and father were prominent members of those churches. And you look at, when you try to look at what will take place, for example, at a chromantic play, right? It's like, a whole thing. And you look at what is happening in those churches, right? It is just how do you find a way to synthesize African custom, practices, and belief with westernized Christian society? That's basically what it is. And there are many similarities. The chromantic play is gonna have, they're gonna have rum. It's same thing. Spirit is in the church. The alcohol is in there. The wine is in there. The candle is in there. The play is gonna have fire. It is in the church. They don't have a cross, but they have a sword, which represents the cross. And all the other things that you can, the people getting into mile, the same thing happened in the AME Zion Church. I have been there. I know. I'm not speaking as somebody who has not been exposed to it. My early religious upbringing was in an AME Zion Church. So I know that, OBEAH was not banned in Jamaica because it was bad, It was banned because our foreparents could have used this to defend themselves against the colonial powers. That's the underlying fact. Ganja was not banned in Jamaica because ganja is that bad. If the colonizer had an angle on it, they wouldn't have banned it. They wouldn't have made it a criminal offense. Now the government is getting an angle on it, and they decriminalize it. So we just have to look at things, and because the person doesn't see the thing through your eye, doesn't mean that what the person is doing is necessarily wrong. You can be absolutely right, and the other person is dead wrong. But if the Constitution give them a right to practice their thing, then let us either change the Constitution or just allow them to do what they have to do. So, the OBEAH and the nigromancy thing, as I said before, it depends on to whom you speak and how the persons want to look at it. Because, in most like in Maroon's situation, whenever we use the word woman or we use the word science, it's OBEAH is a science man. That's how we look at it.
Yes. Yes, but with
Okay.
necromancy, that we call nigromancy, it is dealing specifically with the dead. It is specific to deal with the dead. You go and you talk to the dead, you communicate with people who are dead. That is the necromancy part of it. That's exactly what that is.
Mhm.
So what I realize is that we really don't separate things. You are about to say something, Desmond.
No, I was about to ask Colonel if up in Moortown, if all the religious denominations are in Moortown. So if you have the Baptist Church of God, etc., in Moortown.
We have like, all right, okay. Let me tell you. We're a Jehovah's Witness, but they moved from Motown and they are in Windsor. So there's still people from Motown go there. It's just that they are organizing them things differently. So that's there. That was there. We have two Hamey Zion Church. We have a Fire Baptist Church and we have another church like a Ground of Truth. We have the Baptist Church. We have the Anglican Church, which has been there for much more than 100 years. And we have the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And we used to have a few more churches that are not there anymore, right? City Mission used to be there, and there's another church that I don't remember the name of it, But over the years, churches come and churches go. So we have a full repertoire, full gamut of whatever religious practices that are practiced in Jamaica. It has visited Motown some way, somehow or the other, at some point in time.
Okay. All right.
My last thing on this, the OBEAH, how do you account for the saying in Jamaica, the popular saying, bad luck worse than OBEAH? If OBEAH can be a good thing, why would you have a saying like that?
Well, let me put it this way. When you say bad luck worse than OBEAH, it means that, okay, somebody can do something to you. You can go to a OBEAH man and he does something to you. And you can go to another OBEAH man or a OBEAH woman or a practitioner, a fete man or a fete woman, and they can remove that spell. But bad luck is just bad luck. There's no alternative to say I can go and reverse this. While say the practicing and the spell that is cast upon you by and then again, you have to understand how I use the terms, right? Because I would say a fete man or a fete woman, right? A priest or a priestess. And I can refer to the person as a science man or a science woman. Because we do things like that. But that is basically what it is,
Right. Okay. Well, we have come to the end of today's program. Yes.
Well,
Thanks to all our listeners and viewers. And remember that you can watch our program on YouTube. So until next week, this is Frankly Speaking.
Okay. Medasi, my dear. Medasi.
Thank you.
Thank you.